Namaste. Okay, let's have a prayer today before we begin. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyagena yoba karottat pravaram muninam patanjalim pranchalimanadosmi. We meditate on sage Patanjali, who is master of the mind, physician of the body, and a teacher of the spiritual science. Patanjali combines in himself all the three disciplines of Ayurveda, Yoga, and Vedanta. So you gather your mind from all worldly preoccupations of strife and struggle, and then focus on the teachings of Patanjali. Patanjali means that word means that which is given as a gift, that which has fallen in your hand, in your lap. So Patanjali is a gift, yoga is a gift to humankind. So we seek our inspiration from Patanjali. Patanjali also is identified as the great serpent, the Kundalini Shakti in you, the Prana Shakti, the Omkara Shakti. So by reflecting upon these sutras, we not only recover health, we also have the spiritual enlightenment. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace be, peace be, peace be. What you intend, that happens. We intend peace rather than strife. We intend harmony rather than disharmony. We intend happiness rather than pleasure. We intend unity rather than disunity. We intend inclusion rather than exclusion. We intend a win-win solution rather than zero-sum game. We intend the safety of the planet, the health of the planet, rather than random exploitation of the earth. Our needs are very clear, and we seek the blessings of the universe. So when you meditate on Patanjali, you are meditating on your breath. Because breath is the serpent that Patanjali is. Okay, open your eyes. Open your eyes. Today's topic is a very interesting topic. The Bhogi, Yogi and Isvara. 3 types of personalities or persons or Purushas. That's what we are going to talk today. But before that, let us recapitulate what we did last Saturday. I was talking about the 7 samadhis. Vitarka, Vijayara, Ananda, Asmida, Samprajnada. Even if I forget, you should remember. Samprajnada, Asamprajnada and Nirbija. These are the 7 levels that you can climb to the mountain peak of yoga. And the first step is Vitarka. Vitarka has got 2 aspects of Vitarka and Nirvitarka. So by that you settle account with the world. You are at peace with the world around you. That itself is a samadhi. When you are at peace with the world, then you are in a certain level of samadhi. The second level is peace with yourself, your own mind. That is called Vijayara Samadhi. Observing your mind, watching your mind, not judging, not punishing yourself too much. So that the mind will settle by itself. That is called the second level of Samadhi, which is called Vijayara Samadhi. But that is only on the conscious level, please understand. So when you come to the climb to the second level of Samadhi, by observing your inner theater, then you gain a certain happiness, which you have not known before. That happiness I can say Atmanandam, not Vishayanandam. So when you enjoy that Atmanandam, that's a unique joy that you experience. Inexplicable joy. Then you develop a new identity, which is called Asmida. Now your identity is totally different. You go around in the world as a happy person. Not for happiness. This is our mantra, Mula mantra. Isn't it? So your identity is totally different. You start smiling without any reason. Earlier you need a reason to smile. Now you don't. You start smiling. You are light, you feel light. You feel floating. You feel like a bloom or like a symphony, let us say. These are all experiences. You experience all. And you are able to deal with the world in a better way and your own emotional turbulence in a better way. And you can learn from every experience, please. So that is a new identity that you develop. And from there, you move into Samprajnada Samadhi. Samprajnada Samadhi means consciously you are happy. You are in balance. You settled account with your conscious mind. The conscious mind cannot take you for a ride. You take the conscious mind for a ride. But still, you are not yet there. There is a larger basement of the mind, the unconscious mind, over which we have no control. Whereas the unconscious mind have control over your conscious mind. This unconscious mind is revealed not when the policeman is operating. The conscious policeman is functioning, the unconscious mind hides itself. But it reveals in different ways. What is the ways? For example, in dream. In dream, the unconscious mind functions. Isn't it? In dream, you kill your enemy, isn't it? You take a gun and shoot your enemy in dream. But in the waking world, you are your partner. You are his or her partner. But when you are in your dream, your unconscious mind manifests. So the dream is a window to the unconscious. That's why great dream analysis in psychology. Similarly, the slip of the tongue. There's a slip of the tongue. Suddenly you let it out. Slip of the tongue. That is again a window to the unconscious mind. I remember President Clinton, when Obama was nominated to the Democratic presidential candidacy, Obama was nominated. Clinton was there in that caucus where he was nominated. So Clinton unconsciously blurted out without knowing that the mic was on. This guy cannot even carry my shoes. Just now he was talking to him, congratulating him, appreciating him. You are a wonder kid and all that. But suddenly the unconscious manifests. This is called the slip of the tongue. Or sometimes you mispronounce a word or the name, or slip of the tongue. So you should be awareful of the slip of the tongue, which is a window into the unconscious. Similarly, vulgar jokes. You in a party or something, you utter vulgar jokes. That also gives a window into the unconscious. And so many truths are said in a joke. Haven't you heard that? Sometimes jokes speak the truth, though it seems like a joke. So, slip of the tongue, vulgar jokes. Then drunken state. When you have taken a couple of drinks, then you reveal your unconscious. You never thought, I could speak like this, or I am this. Old age, when you become old, past 82, you start revealing. Even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he said in old age, he started saying things which even Vivekananda couldn't swallow or understand. So when you are past 80, you're unconscious, because there is nothing else for you. All that is there in you is unconscious. Conscious mind is very weak. Your ability to learn, experience the world, all become dull. But if you are a yogi, these problems will not arise. So, slip of the tongue, all the extreme stress situation, your unconscious will manifest. Otherwise, you are a holy person. You are a yogi. You can stand on your head for 1 hour. But you have not conquered the unconscious. And struggling with unconscious is very difficult. It's like fighting with your shadow. I told you the story of Hanuman. When you are jumping across the ocean to Lanka, he felt something is pulling him down, his own shadow. And he had to deal with him. You cannot fight with your shadow. It's very difficult. So this unconscious is to be organized before you transcend to the higher realms. There is a dark dungeon area. So how do I do that? Here Patanjali comes and says, for the first time, you need some blessing, some kripa. Otherwise, yoga is a secular discipline. Yoga doesn't need any faith from you. You don't have to believe in God, or you can be an atheist, or you can believe in any God, Allah, or God, or whatever, Krishna, or whatever. Yoga is generally understood as a secular science or a discipline. So God is not important, faith is not important. Anybody can practice it and experience the joy of yoga. But here Patanjali recognized this problem. The problem of the huge unconscious. The conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. It is the unconscious mind which is weighing down. So Patanjali here says, I am giving up. You are sitting on Padmasana or Kukadasana or Mayurasana or Siddhasana, whatever asana. You are doing all the pranayamas available in the world and you are chanting mantras. But still, you have not touched the unconscious. Of course, to a certain extent, but not fully. So here you need the kripa, the anugraha, the blessing of some higher power. Without that, the last lap of the journey is not possible. Because we have reached this dark realm where we are blind, we don't know where to go, which direction to go. And you are struggling. Of course, you have covered a lot of distance, but you never expected this kind of a problem. So there, you need anugraham or blessing or kripa or grace. Different words are used from some higher source. So that higher source, Patanjali says, is Ishvara. Ishvara. Have you seen Ishvara? No. You have not seen. Have you seen Ishvara? Of course, I have seen the Murti. If you are a Hindu, you have a Murti in your puja room. If you are a Muslim, you can go to Mecca or the Quran. Christian, they're their own gods. But you have not really seen God. But still, Patanjali introduces this idea which is not there in Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya is an atheistic philosophy based upon rational understanding, analysis of the world and human experience. So Sankhya talks about the Prakriti, material, matter, and Purusha, spirit, that's it. And many Purushas. One Prakriti unfolds and enfolds. Big Bang and Big Crunch, all that kind of things. And this Purusha is caught up in this dance of the Prakriti. And he does not know how to deal with this Prakriti. That's what our problem. Prakriti involves the mind as well as the material world. So according to Sankhya philosophy, there are only two factors, the Purusha and the Prakriti, or Pradhana they call it. And Pradhana is made up of these three gunas, like the modern science says atoms. Everything is made up of atoms. Such atoms has got three factors, proton, electron, neutron, isn't it? Similarly, Sattva, Tamas and Rajas going around. Isn't it? A remarkable similarity between the Sankhyan idea of the world and the modern science. And the Purusha, of course, is beyond the time, space, causation and all that. As pure consciousness, we have seen Nitya, Shuji, Sukha, Atma or Satchidananda Atma that we are familiar with. Or Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Which is your real nature. Accept it or take it or leave it. Isn't it? So, the Sankhya Shastra is very secular. Secular means it doesn't promote any particular exclusivist religion. That's what secularism means. Secularism means you have, in Indian context, secularism means respect for all religions. In American context or the European context, secularism means you don't promote any religion. Here respect, we put it a little positively in India. And the European context is little negatively. We don't promote any religion. We are indifferent to religion. We have our own set of values. Democracy, human rights, blah, blah, all that. Isn't it? So therefore, the Patanjali practices yoga practices are based on the Sankhyan philosophy. And the Sankhyan philosophy, the dualist philosophy, there is no place for Ishvara there. So Patanjali understand the problem, practical problem. If you don't introduce the third factor, Isvara, a source of everything, your struggles will not bear fruit. That's what Patanjali says. You need some blessing. At least after the yoga, you go and touch the feet of your guru or your parents, or go around a banyan tree, or take a dip in the Ganga. I'm just little trivializing the whole concept. So he says, you need that humility. And it's not my effort which takes me there. It is my effort coupled with the anugraha, the blessing of the Lord. So Patanjali introduces the third factor. Like in Christianity also, if you Son, God, Father in heaven, Son and the Holy Ghost. Son, Father in heaven and Holy Ghost, something like that. That three factors. So Patanjali introduces this idea of God. And we'll be discussing that. What is Patanjali's idea of God? How do we relate with that God? How do you receive that blessings? How do we value add on your practices? Isn't it? So along with that, we already talked about the yoga toolkit. So there are few tools in that kit. The main tool is Viveka, Vairagya and Abhyasa. I talked about it. Please don't forget it. Your practice will not take you forward unless you practice all this. Viveka, Vairagya. And Viveka, Vairagya is not a physical practice. It is in terms of certain understanding. Viveka, Vairagya and Abhyasa. That's true. And then few other disciplines like Asana, Pranayama, etc. This is also part of the tools of the yoga toolkit. And also the belief. Now you have to believe, whether you like it or not, that you are Nitya Shuji Sudha Atma. Otherwise, all your effort will be in that narrow circle of ignorance. You may do anything, but within that narrow circle of ignorance. So you can develop certain siddhis, biceps and siddhis, and you are able to develop a strong mind. All those things are possible. But you are not yet there. Therefore, the toolkit is to be kept in mind, and the tools in that kit, yogic kit, all these are to be necessary. So when you come to that area, that dark area in your yoga practice, you are bored with your practice, then you have to, Patanjali has given you certain disciplines. What are the disciplines? Ishvara Pranidhanam. Then Ekatattva Abhyasam. Isn't it? I have given you all those 4 or 5 disciplines, or 5 6 disciplines last time. Ekatattva Abhyasam. And reflecting on your experience of sleep and dream. That is another discipline he has given. And meditate upon the inner light. All those discipline has been given to tackle the unconscious. But the main discipline is Ishvara Pranidhana, surrender to Ishvara. Ishvara literally means eat. It means to govern, to rule. Rule of law, let's say. These days we hear a lot, rule of law, and all that. So Ishvara has got his own rule of law. So Ishvara is one who magistrates or adjudicates according to the rule of law. That is Ishvara. So it's a cosmic power. And we can feel that power. When you are humble and reflective, you can feel that power. So this Ishvara, Patanjali brings. Therefore, yoga is called Seshvara Sankhya. Sankhya with Ishvara. That's one another word for yoga. Seshvara Sankhya. Yoga with Ishvara. And this Ishvara is supposed to be, though yoga is a secular discipline, Patanjali brings the idea of Ishvara. So therefore you can say Patanjali is Ishvara Sankhya or Yoga. And this Ishvara is the source of all values for Patanjali. Ishvara is the source of value. Without Ishvara, you will not be able to hold on to values. You become a very utilitarian, practical hedonist. Whatever serve my purpose, those values I will practice. I am honest as long as it serves my purpose. I am non-violent as long as it serves my purpose. It is all convenience. I am not deeply rooted in those values. But Patanjali says, once you believe in Ishvara or turn your attention to this idea, Ishvara becomes the source of all values. Truth, non-violence, love and caring and sharing, all those values become meaningful for you, because unless these values are practiced, you will not be able to receive those blessings of Ishvara. So mere secular or human experience cannot be the source of all these values. That's why Patanjali brings this idea of Ishvara. The source of all values is a human effort, prayatna, coupled with the kripa, Ishvara's blessing, bear fruit, which will help you take the last leap into the yogic experience. And hence, Patanjali's Sutra, first chapter, 23rd Sutra, Ishvara pranidhanadva. You have to surrender to Ishvara. When you surrender to Ishvara, that state what you attain with the blessing of the Ishvara is called asamprajnata samadhi. That's the word used by Patanjali there. Asamprajnata samadhi. When your effort and Ishvara's blessings coalesce into a deeper experience where your unconscious is somehow or other managed. It's like something like when you go your basement of your mind. We talked about it earlier. The basement of our mind. What do you find in the basement of the mind? All the broken furniture, isn't it? Unused, useless bed, and kettles and vessels. And your grandmother also is there, isn't it? Because there is no other place for them. You dump them there. These are the things which you find unconscious. And cobwebs, and vipers, all those animals you can find in. So there you have to go to the unconscious with a searchlight or a torchlight or a flashlight. Of course, it's very stinking, so you have to do some pranayama, hold your breath and go there and clean up things, organize things, have a spring cleaning, sell off unnecessary things and organize your. Then the unconscious is beautiful, because unconscious traps a lot of energy. It traps a lot of energy, but that energy is unnecessarily used up. So that energy can be saved for your further journey. So unconscious is a necessary factor in your journey, and you have to organize it, which is possible by practicing this discipline which Patanjali talks about, which we have enumerated last time. The Ishvara Kripa is necessary. So Patanjali says, Ishvara pranidhanadva. One has to get the blessings of Ishvara. The Ishvara is one of the Purushas. What is this Ishvara? Patanjali says. Just to give you an idea. What is this Ishvara? Of course, you talked about Krishna or Christ or Allah and all that. What is Patanjali's Ishvara? Patanjali gives a description in a language which you and I understand, so that you can conceptually you can relate with this. What is Ishvara? Patanjali defines Klesha karma vibhaga ashayehi aparamrishtaha purusha visheshaha Ishvara. That is Ishvara. That also is from the first chapter itself. That's enough. Klesha karma vibhaga ashayehi aparamrishtaha purusha visheshaha Ishvara. But before I explain this sutra, let me give you two more sutras. where Ishvara word comes in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. 3 places the Ishvara word comes. Now you may be wondering why all this. You must tell me some asana, some pranayama and done with it. No, that's not enough. Just asana, pranayama will make you a yoga teacher and, spread the message. But you don't have the depth. You don't get the depth. And after some time you become a bhoga teacher also. So therefore, better teach asana, pranayama, but along with that, you for your own benefit, you have to understand this so that you can strike roots deep into the discipline of yoga. So here, one more sutra about Ishvara. So Patanjali mentioned the word Ishvara in 3 places in Yoga Sutras. First is Ishvara Pranidhanadva, first chapter, 23rd sutra. And then Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga, second chapter, first sutra. He says Tapa Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. There he talks about Kriya Yoga, very popular in United States. Kriya Yoga, Kriyananda and all that. Now Paramahamsa Yogananda propagated the Kriya Yoga idea. In Kriya Yoga also Ishvara Pranidhanam comes. Now if you take Ashtanga Yoga, which Patanjali talks about, there also Ishvara Pranidhana comes. Where is that? He says Ashtanga Yoga Shauja Sandosha Taba Swadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Niyamaha. He talks about 5 niyamas. Niyama means discipline. Where also Ishvara Pranidhanam comes. So 3 places you find. If somebody repeats something 3 times, then you know the importance of that, isn't it? One passingly saying I can understand. So spread across 3 chapters, he repeats again and again. That means Ishvara Pranidhanam is very, very important. So 3 sutras. Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga, Shauja Tandosha Sabasadhyaya Ishvara Shauja Sandosha Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Niyamaha. So who is this Ishvara? Give me some understanding in a language which you and I can relate. Because unless you understand intellectually, that will not take you far. I can give an emotional kick by plugging into your fear. If you don't surrender to God, you are going to die, you are going to sick, or you will happen this, that. I can plug into your fear, psychosis, and make you repeat Ishvara, but that doesn't help. You need a understanding of what Ishvara is. So Patanjali says, Klesha Karma, I am repeating that sutra. Klesha Karma Vibhaga Ashayehi Aparamishtaha Purusha Vishesha Ishvaraha. This is from the first chapter itself. Klesha. So Ishvara is Purusha, a special Purusha. You also are a Purusha. I am also a Purusha. She also is Purusha. But Ishvara is a special, unique, one in the world Purusha. There is only one such a person. There is nobody else. You the Purusha, you can be, there are other Purushas also. But there is only one Purusha, which is unique, which is called, Purusha means a conscious entity. That's the literal meaning of Purusha, a conscious entity, a conscious person. That's the meaning of Purusha. So Patanjali says, Ishvara is Klesha Karma Vibhaga Ashehi Aparamishtaha Purusha Vishesha. So a unique Purusha who is Aparamishta, untouched by, untainted by. What are all the things he is untainted by? Klesha. Klesha means, we have already seen there are 5 factors in Klesha. Avidya, Asmida, Ragadvesha, Abhinivesha. Ishvara is not tainted by avidya, ignorance. What is ignorance? Ignorance is not knowing my nature as Satchidanandam. That problem Ishvara doesn't have. Ishvara always knows himself or herself or itself as Satchidanandam, an ocean of bliss. That is that Ishvara. So avidya, asmida, Ragadvesha, avidya causes asmida, false identity, likes, dislikes, attachment, grasping and all that. Ishvara is free from all that. Klesha. Then karma, as a result of klesha, vidya, karma happens. You take to various modes of activities. Courting things and avoiding things. Why you court things? Because you seek something there. Why are you avoiding? You want to avoid displeasure, unhappiness. And then extreme attachment. So you say klesha karma. And when you do karmas, then you have to enjoy the fruits of those karmas. And to enjoy the fruits of karmas, you need some instruments. Otherwise, you cannot enjoy. I need a habitat. Otherwise, you cannot enjoy. So you create new bodies. You enter into those bodies. Accordingly, you get into various environment situations. And Ishvara is free from all this. So, klesha, karma, vibhaga. Karma vibhaga means karma bhala. What is the karma bhala? Your body and the environment in which you find today, and the kind of instruments you are using to interact with the world and process your informations. All these are vipaka, the body. So this body which you enjoy now is the result of your past karma. That's a simple thing. We all know this. This body. Now I have liver cirrhosis. Why? Because you have been drinking. Simple. I find it difficult to breathing. Why? Because you have been smoking. I find colon cancer because you have been eating red meat all your life. But my friend who have been eating more than me, nothing happened to him. How do you explain that? He also has been eating meat. He also has been drinking. He also has been smoking. But nothing is happening to him. He is flourishing. Because might be he had done something good in the past life. That's all what we can say. Might be he had done something good in the past life. Or else how do you explain in a causal way? There is no other way of explaining it. So as far as we are concerned, our present body, our present environment, our relationship and the pleasurable and happy experiences are all can be explained in terms of your past deeds. And how do you deal with that past with the present understanding? That also is very important. Because two people can be in the same situation, but process differently. That also is possible. All this will come in the next, maybe the talk after this, and the next talk or the last but one talk I will be dealing with all this. Rebirth, karma, why I am like this, why me? All these questions will be answered there. For the time being, let us focus on the idea of Ishvara. Ishvara is a unique entity. There are many Purushas. And all these Purushas are the same type. But this Ishvara is a different type of Ishvara. Patanjali says, so he is Klesha Karma Vibhaga Ashehi Aparamrishtaha Purusha Vishesha Ishvara. Can you conceive of such a person? Can you conceive of such an entity? An entity without a body, entity which is not influenced by ignorance or desire. Think of that. Meditate on that. Entity who is free from the limitation of the body, desire, ignorance, striving, greed. It's a beautiful experience for you. The very meditation will uplift you. Such an entity. Whether it is there or not, at least that is what we dream of, isn't it? A state where I am not affected by the physical, the mental, ignorance, grasping, greed, likes, dislikes, violence, a consciousness which is free from all these problems. That is the type of Ishvara we are talking about. That's why in Indian tradition, Krishna is dancing all the time. Because when you are in that state, what else can happen? Dancing Krishna, meditating Shiva, Vishnu on the snake, unaffected by anything. You and I lying on a snake, think of that. If you lie on a snake or a snake, small snake in your bedroom will upset your sleep, isn't it? Your Vishnu is lying on a snake, nothing happens. He is comfortable. So all these descriptions of Ishvara only reveal this identity, this ideal which you are meditating upon, and which will inspire you. So klesha karma vibhagashyahi aparamishtaha purusha visheshaha Ishvaraha. Then another idea about Ishvara is tatra niradishayam sarvajnatva bijam. Ishvara is the source of all knowledge. It is not the books or the library or the museum or the teaching classes. The source of all knowledge is Ishvara. One way explaining it, without consciousness, you cannot know anything. So consciousness is the source of everything. So Ishvara is supposedly the source of all knowledge and the source of all values. That is what Ishvara is all about. So tatra sarvajnatva bijam. Bijam means source. Sarvajna means omniscience or wisdom. Ishvara is the source. So by meditating upon this Ishvara, seeking his blessings, you also automatically invoke all these values. And you feel inspired by these values. So tatra niradishayam, incomparable wisdom. A wisdom which is not corrupted by anything. A knowledge which is not polluted by anything. Not polluted by greed, because presently our knowledge is used to aggrandize and exploit it. So here is a knowledge which is accommodating, untainted, unpolluted. That is why niradishayam, incomparable wisdom. Ishvara is the source. Then Ishvara again is purvesham abhi guruhu. Ishvara is the first teacher, guru. There should be some source for this teaching tradition. So Ishvara is the first Adi Guru, Adi Yogi. This is how Ishvara is described. Adi Guru, Adi Yogi. So who is your Guru? Oh, my Guru is sitting in front of me. Okay. Who is his Guru? He is there in somewhere in Indian Himalayan caves. Who was his Guru? Dead and gone. But still, his presence is there. So if you go on tracing backward, you end up in a place where the ultimate causeless cause, a guru without a guru. That is called the Adi Guru and the source Guru, the first Guru, Adi Guru or Adi Yogi. So intellectually we can only conceive like this. There is no other way of understanding Ishvara. It's the first Guru, and then the whole tradition starts. So Patanjali says, Tatta Purveshamabi Guruhu Kalena Anavacheda. So this Purusha is not affected by the change in time. He doesn't become old. You and I become old, isn't it? So dead and gone. But this Ishvara, because he is free from the limitation of the body, time, space, is always there. It is the eternal source of all wisdom, all values, all disciplines, and all knowledge. That is how Patanjali conceives. So Ishvara is an intellectual, rational necessity. Recently I was reading a book. Tila gave me a book. And I am reading that, and that book is called The Return of the God Hypothesis. Return of God Hypothesis. So here is a person who has gone through Einstein theory of relativity and then, the quantum physics and then, multiverses and string theory, all that. And finally he says, nothing explains the origin of the universe. The only thing which explains is the old theory of God is Ishvara. Because there seems to be a certain purpose in the evolution of the universe. There is certain fine-tuning in the very beginning. It seems that the universe is created out of nothing. Therefore, it is an intellectual necessity to understand the existence of God, Ishvara. You cannot escape from that. You cannot escape. So, believe in that Ishvara. Accept that Ishvara as an intellectual necessity and an emotional need also. Because we need some support, isn't it? When you are sick and helpless, we need some shoulder to lean on and cry. So it is an emotional necessity, intellectual necessity, or intellectual explanation. So Patanjali says, Kalena anavachedad. The time, space, causation all collapse into that state. That is called Ishvara. And for you and I, Ishvara is my little Krishna, the blue boy. That blueness means something. The dancing boy means something. The boy who sings on the flute means something. So it is all explaining this profound concept in terms of human signification, that's all, or human language. That is why it's all about. So when you look at Krishna or Christ on the cross, Ishvara, a cross means time space. Christ is hanging on three nails with Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, isn't it? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, on the cross of time space, Christ is hanging. And then 3 days, he is hanging there. Then he comes out, 3 days or 6 hours, whatever. Then he emerges from there, awakened fully. So whichever image you take, we understand. Or Muhammad going to the cave and reveals get all the revelation. What is the meaning of going to the cave? Nihidam guhayam, isn't it? Isn't it? Nihidam guhayam. Wisdom is hidden in that cave. Brahma vida apnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanam anandam brahma yo veda nihidam guhayam. The guha is the cave. Go and sit there. Then the wisdom is revealed. Then come to the world. Don't sit there continuously. Isn't it? Then the wisdom is revealed, you are coming out to share it, to experience it, to disseminate it. So whichever way you look at it, why God doesn't go away. There is another book I was reading. Why God doesn't go away? I wanted to shoo him away, or her away, or it away. He comes back again and again and again. Why? Because intellectually, emotionally, and cosmologically, you need this X factor, this concept, without which you will not be able to explain the existence of the world, or your own existence, or your emotional needs and satisfaction cannot be fulfilled without this concept of God. So God won't go away. The God hypothesis is very important for explaining things. You may explain it in many, many ways. So Ishvaraha, the word used in Sanskrit is Ishvaraha. Ishvara means one who governs, one who rules, one who is this rule of law, one who adjudicates according to the rule of law. That is Ishvara. So, Sapurvesham abhi guruhu kalena anavacheda. Now the question is that, I understood. When I listened to you, I understand all this. Can you give me a capsule which I can chew? Or a chewing gum of God which I can chew all the time? Or a capsule which I can swallow every day, so that I remain in that awareness of Ishvara while I am dealing with the world. Patanjali says, I can. And the capsule or a chewing gum is Pranavaha. Pranavaha, tasya vachakaha pranavaha. Pranava means Om, Omkara. Pranavam. Purayava navam pranavam, which is always new, which is always fresh, or the most worshipful. That's the meaning of Pranava. Pranava means Om, that sound. So this sound Om is the Vachaka. Vachaka means the signifier of God. Is Om signifies God. Om is familiar, you are familiar with that. You can produce that sound. A-om, isn't it? So by saying Om, which is again a neutral word. It's a neutral word. It's not a Hindu word or a Christian word or anything. This is a neutral word. Om. So by chanting Om, or Patanjali says, Tad japa tadartha bhavanam. Because an idea, you need a word. Without a word, idea won't stick to your mind. A word is necessary. A symbol is necessary. A signifier is necessary. So if this is the idea of God, you don't see anywhere. So you need certain symbols to understand this idea. And then Patanjali gives a neutral word, O. O. So tasya vachagaha pranavaha. Pranava is the neutral word from Ishvara. And what should I do with this pranava? What will I do? Tad japa tadartha bhavanam. Repeat it every day. Every day in the morning, chant Om. Om, there are very many ways of chanting Om, which we have discussed before. Om, or Om. Loud, whisper, mental, all that. All that you have to go to a guru and he will teach you. You can go to Advaitji and he will teach you all those things, how to do that. Join his classes, you will be able to understand what it is all about. So tada jabam, jabam means repetition. Tada artha bhavanam, and the meaning, the signified, the meaning of that. What is the meaning of that? Here is the source of all values, source of all knowledge, source of all wisdom, the creator and the destroyer, all that. You meditate on that. So return of the God hypothesis, isn't it? Why God is not going away? This is the reason why it doesn't go away. Because it gives meaning and contextualizes your life. It gives meaning. It's a shoulder on which you can lean when you are down and out. When all purpose is lost in life. So Patanjali, in the same Yoga Sutras, Patanjali sends some certain advantages in his own way. He said, Tada tataha pratyekchedanadhigamaha. As a result of that, you get established in your real nature. Pratyekchedanadhigamaha. Andaraya bhavascha. And all your mental confusions and problems, I told you 9 problems, all of them can be overcome by this. Andaraya bhavascha. Samadhi siddhi Ishvara pranidhanad. And you also get Samadhi siddhi. You get established in Samadhi. All these are possible. Adhyatma prasadam. So the Ishvara, Anugraha Ishvara, Patanjali uses other words also. Adhyatma prasadam. You feel a rush of light radiating in your life. Adhyatma prasadam. You feel some grace showering upon you. Other word, Patanjali, dharma mekha samadhi, a shower of blessings that you experience. Suddenly you wake up and say, I have arrived. I am okay. That kind of experience. What happened to you? Have you gone crazy? No. I feel okay now. So that is the Ishvara Pranidhana. So this is a unique Purusha. I don't think Patanjali say that you can become that Purusha by yoga practice. No. Ishvara is a unique Purusha. But you can enjoy the same qualities which you are experiencing by practicing yoga. What are they? You can partake of his wisdom and values and joy. Everything is possible. And you are yourself. Ishvara is himself or herself. And your journey begins from being a Bhogi. At this point, you and I, we are Bhogis. Occasionally, we practice yoga. Who is a Bhogi? A Bhogi is a consumerist. Let me put it very simply. And there is a slogan that says, one who eats once in a day is a Once in a day is a yogi. How many times you are eating? 5 times, minimally. One who eats once in a day is a yogi, twice in a day is a bhogi. Definition of bhogi. Twice in a day. Thrice in a day is a rogi. 4 times in a day is a drohi. Drohi means a menace to the humankind. A menace. That is, if he eats 4 times a day. You and I eat 5 times a day, isn't it? Morning biscuit and tea, then breakfast, then lunch, then evening biscuit and tea, and then dinner. Then ice cream also. My God. Then a Coca-Cola also. Then a pan also you have to eat. Then a couple of drinks, wash it, all this down, isn't it? My God, you are a real drohi, he says. We all are. So, a bhogi is a consumerist. And he is influenced by the advertisements. His choices are all influenced by advertisement. The TV, the internet, all kind of advertisement. You are bombarded with advertisement. The greatest bombardment is not nuclear weapon. It is this advertisement. And you lose your agency and choice. All your choices are determined by the advertisement. Children, teenagers. And children's choice influence your choice. Isn't it? So Bhogi is a consumerist, a hedonist, an Epicurean, I have to say. In Sanskrit we call it Charuvaga or Logayada and all those words. He doesn't have faith in this higher principle. And he's a pleasure seeker. He operates in that small, narrow circle of ignorance. And uses all his intellectual, scientific, and technological prowess to exploit the planet. To destroy all biodiversity, to pollute the atmosphere. Increasing his carbon footprint. Killing all the animals and all flora and fauna. Isn't it polluting? All this international trade, the potato you eat comes from Ireland. Again, carbon footprint, isn't it? So we have gone a long way on the wrong direction. So I made a just back of the hand calculation. If you are consuming more than $500 a month, you are a bhogi. 30,000 rupees in Indian terms, American terms, $500 a month. If you are consuming, you become a bhogi. And you cannot say I am a yogi because I am standing on my head every day. No. Reduce your needs. That's very important. Don't consume more than $500 a month. Not a day, month. Because the planet cannot afford 50,000 per capita income for 8 billion people. There are 8 billion people in the world. So somewhere, someone has to begin. Reduce your needs. Be a minimalist. Eat from the backyard. Be a locavore. So we are bhogis. We are influenced by the maelstrom of advertisement. Like a dry leaf, fluttering in a severe cyclone. Isn't it? And we lost our agency. We cannot take decisions. All decisions are predetermined by the powers that be. And you also plug into the corporate greed as a bhogi. And you also empower these authoritarian regimes for their surveillance and control of citizens. All this because you cannot control a Mahatma Gandhi. Why you cannot control Mahatma Gandhi? Because his needs are very limited. Isn't it? So therefore, that is the picture of a Bhogi. I just want to emphasize that. From that Bhoga, you have to move to yoga. What is the picture of a yogi? Patanjali, the whole Patanjali Yoga Sutra is on the yogi, not the Bhogi. Bhogi, there are only 3 sutras. Patanjali uses the word Bhoga three places in Yoga Sutra. Sadi mule tad vibhagaha jadi ayurbhogaha, he says. Bhoga. Bhoga is as long as there is ignorance. Mula is ignorance. As long as you are under the spell of ignorance, not knowing who you are so long, you will be a Bhogi. That is one sutra. Another sutra is Bhogabhavargartham Drishyam. Is that this world is for your enjoyment, provided you are detached. Otherwise, you are not enjoying the world. The world is enjoying you. Isn't it? Provided you are detached, you can enjoy the world. Second place where you use the word Bhoga. Third place is use of the word Bhoga. Sattva Purushayoho Pratyaya Avisheshat Bhogaha. Bhoga is because you are confused between your true self and your false self. Sattva Purushayoho Pratyaya Avisheshat. You are not able to distinguish clearly between your true self and your false self. Your real and your image. That is why you become a Bhogi. That's a philosophical explanation of Bhoga. So that is the definition of a Bhogi. And then you go to drinks and drugs and then sex and then distractions and entertainments. Go on and on like that. Then you are down in the ditch as a Bhogi. So before you go deep into the ditch, somebody has to lift you. And that is the yoga practice. So yogi, there are 3 important words Patanjali uses. Nirodha parinamaha, samadhi parinamaha, ekagrata parinamaha. So I'll take the 3 keywords. Nirodha, samadhi, ekagrata. What is the hallmark of a yogi? Apart from he doing yoga every day, physical, pranayama, etc. What is the hallmark? What is the experience of a yogi as a result of it? The experience of yogi is nirodham. Nirodham means alert. Yogi is always alert. They have got eyes all over, eyes and ears all over. That is one parinama. Parinama means experience or transformation of a yogi from the Bhogi state to yoga. Alert. He is always alert. There is eyes and ears all over. Second is balance. Samadhi parinama. He is always balanced. He doesn't go to extremes or she doesn't go to extremes. Think of that. Third is ekagrata parinama. He has got supreme focus. When you undertake something, there is great focus for that person. So alertness, balance even physically. We all after 80 or 75, we fall into the bathroom, isn't it? You slip and fall and slip and fall. Yogi doesn't. Even he slips, he collects himself. There is physical balance, mental balance, intellectual balance. All this kind of balance. And focus. So you are able to focus. When these 3 qualities are there, such a person is called a yogi. In the modern psychological terms, I can use the word SQ, EQ and IQ. IQ is focus. The ability to focus is called IQ. Balancing your mind is called EQ, emotional intelligence. And sourcing from the spirit is called SQ, spiritual intelligence. So you enjoy all this. Another set of words is, you are able to understand the world better, which is called monologue. You are able to interact with the world monologically. You also able to interact with the other people who look at you, you look at them, just dialogically. And also you are able to communicate with the spirit translogically. Logic means communication. See, when you communicate with the table, it's a monological communication. Isn't it? You can talk with the table, how beautiful you are, and then how useful you are, how functional you are. How you communicate with the table? Very interesting. It is useful, it is functional. A building, an architect communicates a building. A painter communicates with the painting. A lover of nature communicates with trees and flora and fauna. Isn't it? So you develop that ability to communicate monologically, because that doesn't speak to you. But when I talk to you, it's a dialogical communication. I look at you, you look at me, I assess you, you assess me. Then translogical. All these abilities a yogi develop. So these are the three Purushas Patanjali talk about. The Bhogi, the Yogi, and Isvara. Isvara is unique and one. There is only one Isvara, there are not many Isvaras. Yogi, there are many yogis, isn't it? We all are yogis. Bhogis, majority are Bhogis. So I would say 60 to 80% is Bhogi, and 15% is Yogi, and 5% is little advanced Yogi. Isvara is one. Isn't it? That is how Patanjali talks about these three Purushas. In the Bhagavad Gita also we find three Purushas. Uttama Purusha, Akshara Purusha, and Kshara Purusha. Three kind of Purusha. We are not going to that. Let us confine to Patanjali. So friends, we have seen these three Purushas, and then how do you move from Bhoga to Yoga, all that. My next talk will be on the road to Kaivalya, the inclusive transcendence. Because I want to cover all these yogas from, I take from here and there and create narratives, all the sutras of Patanjali. Next lecture talk will be on the road to Kaivalya. How do I fly into the state of Kaivalya? Oneness, inclusive oneness, where there is no other to fight with. You don't fight with your nose, do you? Suppose your tongue bites your, your teeth bites your tongue. You bite your tongue. Will you be angry with the teeth? Knock out the teeth? You don't. Because these are all part of you. Just as you won't knock off your teeth when it bites your tongue, because both the tongue and the teeth are yours, similarly, a yogi doesn't experience the other. All are included in his way. How is that, is the question. That is very difficult to understand. So we will see how that state of consciousness is attained in the next Saturday lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Meditate on this Ishvara. That's the burden of this lecture. Meditate on that concept.